I'm gonna be a cool unk. You gotta fit in. This chat is just a wide range. There are a lot of millennials, but there are also people that, like, if I talk about a millennial thing and the other millennials in the chat are like, oh yeah, haha. There are plenty of people being like, I don't know what that is. That's cool, guys. So we got a big mix. Past your expiration date. I feel you, I feel you. I understand, I understand. From like 21 to 45 is the range. If we're talking about outliers, like we have people in the chat regularly that are in their 50s, but it's like a couple of them, you know? I think we have a really good handful of a lot of different things. It's a very like even-ish spread. Most chats are just kind of one thing with a little overlap into the next generation over. Or the next demographic data point over, I should say. But I think we're pretty, we're a bit more, like, evenly spread. Where we do, like, I think the average skews older because normally Twitch skews younger. And then we have a lot of, like, evenness up in the top range as well. Rather than that being just, like, a couple people. But in general, we have a lot of different things. Yeah, I think a lot of people that chat a lot are a little bit on the older side, and I do hear from people sometimes that they're like, I'm younger and I'm afraid to chat because a lot of the people there are a little older and I don't want them to think I'm stupid. And I'm like, that's they don't care. They don't care. So we actually do have a lot of younger viewers, but they on average chat a little less. I wish they would chat more. You're not stupid, you're just inexperienced. That's what I always say to people. Not knowing stuff doesn't matter. Because you could just go look up stuff. What matters is your ability to look it up and keep it in your head. As long as you can preserve that, you're chilling. Like, knowing a lot of different things is fun, but it's not an indicator of everything or anything, really. I find it genuinely mildly, not very, mildly upsetting when, I, like, read about something, so I talk about it to chat. And I'm like, did you know this bone does this thing? And someone in chat goes, you're so smart. I hate that. I hate that because I'm like, that's not being smart. That's just like, that's just memorization of something. You know? I find a lot of factoids interesting, so I'll like remember them and then tell you, oh, I threw an ultra ball in my bed. So I'll remember them and I'll tell you. But that doesn't, like, it's not a demonstration of anything. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. It's one thing if someone's like a trivia god and they're like a professional trivia nighter, right? And they go every week to their local place and they get everything right. Okay, yeah, if you have like that breadth of knowledge, that's also great. But, you know. So smart, so smart. That doesn't make you smart, you know? But also, like, if I share a little factoid, I'm doing it because I find it interesting, not because I'm like, guess what I know, and you don't know it. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. I always hate those comments when people are like, so smart, when someone's just like remembering a bit of trivia or something. Trivia people frighten me. Can't remember shit. How can they cram all those facts in there? I don't know. I'm like kind of a trivia person, but kind of not. I really am and am not, depending on the subject. Need to normalize you have a fantastic memory as a genuine compliment. Yeah, because it's like, that's what it is, right? They're just like, oh, look, my memory is pretty good. But they could be, like, really inept in every job. They just remember some facts, but they're like, not good at life. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's useless. It doesn't mean being able to memorize a lot of stuff is not good, because it is good in its own right, but, you know, it does not make one a genius. And then I feel like people put themselves down because they can't remember a billion facts. And I'm like, that's not... You're not dumb for that, like, you know? So apparently I have wisdom, not smart, so I'll take it. That's also subjective, like what counts as what. Or not subjective, it's situational, right? I don't know, all in all, it's stuff not to think too deeply about. Is what I've assessed here. Is wisdom good pattern recognition? I think at its base, yeah, that's like one of the important parts of it, but it's so many different things. Wisdom is also kind of like, I think it's social intelligence more than anything else. It's social intelligence, pattern recognition, which kind of goes along with that. And then your ability to actually apply things. So you could have life experience but not be able to apply it, right? So there are plenty of people that have lived long lives but are not wise at all because they cannot take things that happen to them and then learn from it, right? Someone who's wise, the way I would interpret that is someone who's like able to quickly absorb life lessons and absorb more out of a situation than someone else might, right? They make a small mistake and they've now improved greatly instead of just improved a little bit. At least that's how I think of it when I try to think of like what's intelligence versus wisdom, you know? Because I know plenty of people who are older, but they're like so they're so stupid with their money, and they make the same mistakes. They keep dating people that are bad for them, and you could see it from a mile away that this person's bad for them, but they keep doing it, right? Etc. etc. Wisdom comes from making or witnessing mistakes. Yeah, I think a wise person also is able to grow from others' mistakes more than just their own. Someone who's unwise is someone who has to make that mistake themselves, right? Or it doesn't mean they're overall unwise, but it's like a branch of it, you know? It's one of the most frustrating things is when you have a friend who has seen something bad happen in front of them a million times and they outwardly, verbally acknowledge that, but until it happens to them, they cannot change their course of action, right? I got a few friends like that. I got quite a few content friends like that. Content creator friends where I explain to them, you know, hey, you are in a situation that will probably go this negative way, so you should blah, 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 right? And then I'll be like, here's something that's happened to me in the past, like here's some experience I've had, let me give you the play-by-play so you understand. And then here are like 2 other people that have also experienced this negative thing. I explain it so you understand. And then the person is like, well, you know, I absolutely, I think that's true and likely. Anyway, and then they just keep doing their thing, and it isn't until it happens to them that they're like, now I really see. And I'm like, 5 people's experiences weren't enough for you to really see, right? There's a lot of people like that, though. I've got a friend right now who's going through something not far from what I went through more recently, you know, like not the exact same situation, but some of the parallels. And I was pointing it out a while back, and I was like, hey, you know, red flags are this, this, and that. And those red flags are presenting pretty heavily in your situation. So, like, you know, consider it. And they were like, we'll see. I'll try to work it out. And I'm like, no. I'm telling them, no. You gotta, like, treat this stuff seriously immediately. Go do this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, all right. And then 5 other people tell them the same thing. Doesn't matter. It isn't until it gets bad. Now they're like, wait a minute. Maybe this is kind of bad. What can you do? You know, what can you do with some people? Check this out. I found a sassy lost child.